Sisters, queens, and matriarchs, welcome to the Matriverse, a universe of feminine majesty. I'm your host, Alexis, and today we're going to be discussing a hot topic, something that's slightly controversial but much needed in discussion. Misandry versus misogyny. Let's start, shall we? In the manosphere, apparently misandry has bruised a few egos. However, misogyny buries women. What does it mean to say men are inherently violent? For some, it sounds like hate speech. For me and many other women, it feels like survival. We recently had a heated debate and heartfelt discussion in our Queendom group about a TikTok that claimed misandry rooted in bioessentialism is wrong because it feeds into the same mindset that fuels misogyny. That conversation took us everywhere: biology, hormones, patriarchy, hopelessness, survival. And at the heart of it, one question remained: is misandry as dangerous? Or is it simply a mirror reflecting what men and patriarchy have become? Let's discuss. Because it hit me. On the surface, it sounds neat, right? Misogyny, misandry. Same thing, same logic, both harmful. But once we unpacked it as sisters, it was clear that misogyny has built an entire system that cages women, while misandry, at its loudest, has only bruised a few egos. And in a country like Kenya, where women's lives are cut short by men who were once lovers, neighbors, even fathers, how can we pretend that these two carry the same weight? Like the math isn't mathing, literally, girl math. So let's talk about it. Boys, biology, and the violence we see early. Let's start with the basics. Anyone who's watched little boys growing up knows this. Even before society starts drilling them with the man up, don't cry, don't act like the girl rhetoric, there's something different in their energy. Small boys are louder, rougher, and quick to fight. They fight over toys, they play like they're wrestling in a WWE ring, they punch each other, they laugh like nothing happened. Girls, what about girls? Yeah. They'll quarrel, yes. They'll snatch toys too, but very rarely do they go as unhinged as boys do, even when they're playing. And science has receipts for this. Testosterone, yeah, we're going there. That hormone men produce more of, the one that makes aggression easier and emotional processing harder. For many men, empathy is harder to access. Anger is the default language. Biology tilts the scale. Now, add Kenyan society on top. Boys are told from day one, don't cry, don't be weak, don't show softness, you're not a girl. They're denied tenderness, they're denied emotional language, they're denied softness. So all that pain, frustration, and confusion has nowhere to go but in fists, harsh words, and cold silence. By the time they're grown, violence is no longer just an instinct, it's culture. Look around Nairobi. The man picking fights in a matatu because someone stepped on his shoe. The politician shouting insults and rallying people to violence. The father who can't talk to his kids without shouting or beating them. The husband who doesn't know how to express frustration without bruises. Violence has become men's dialect. What did the Queendom say? When I asked my sisters what they thought about misandry, the room lit up. Some said misandry is harmful because it mirrors the same essential logic as misogyny. Others said misandry hurts no one, while misogyny has devastated women's lives for many centuries. A few argued that more women should embrace misandry, if only to balance the scale. Some worry that calling violence men's nature makes women hopeless, as though men can never change. And you know what? Every single one of those points carries truth. But the weight is not the same. Misogyny cages, misandry warns. When bioessentialism is applied to women, it cages us. You are natural nurturers, so stay home. Just stay, get babies, relax, we'll take clear care of you. It clips wings. It robs women of ambition. It ties us to unpaid, invisible labor. It makes women small, and sometimes it kills. When it's applied to men, it excuses them. You are naturally violent, so of course you should lead. Of course you should control. Of course you should dominate. And when men abuse that power, the world shrugs. Boys will be boys. No. So yes, both misandry and misogyny come from the same soil of essentialism, but one is a cage and another a flare gun. Misogyny is systemic. It structures economies, politics, and families. It is written into law, religion, and tradition. Misandry just bruises a few egos. It makes men uncomfortable. It stings their pride, but it does not deny them education. Yeah? It does not deny them property, safety, or a voice. It doesn't bury them in shallow graves. So no, they are not equal. Why does misandry matter? Some women said in the group that, but if we say men are naturally violent, doesn't that make us hopeless? Does that mean change is impossible? I hear that. I feel that. But here's where I stand. Calling men inherently violent is not hopelessness. It's honesty. Because the statistics don't lie. Wars, mass shootings, political violence, domestic abuse, sexual violence. Who commits these acts in overwhelming numbers? Men.
Correct.
It's not a coincidence. It's not just a few bad apples. It's a pattern. So when I say men are inherently violent, I'm not closing the door to change. I'm naming the pattern so we don't gaslight ourselves. Because how many women have stayed in toxic marriages thinking, well, maybe he'll change. How can we have excused violence with, he was just angry? Naming men's violence, what is, can save women from staying in situations that can kill them. That's why misandry, in my eyes, is a survival lens. It protects women from illusions. It helps us see men as they are, not as we hope they could be. Misandry is not despair, it's clarity, my love. It's a mirror held up to the face of patriarchy. Not equal, never equal. Misogyny cages. Misogyny kills. It is a weight of history, law, and tradition pressing down women's backs. Misandry at most bruises male egos. It makes them uncomfortable, defensive, maybe angry, but it doesn't deny them opportunities. It doesn't structure the world against them. That's why misandry can never be equal to misogyny. One has a body count, the other has memes and TikToks. One buries women, the other keeps women sane enough to survive. So the next time someone tells you that misandry is just as bad as misogyny, remember this: bruised egos heal, buried women don't come back. The Kenyan reality. In Kenya and in many African countries, misogyny kills, literally. Women's names trend on Twitter not because they broke barriers or shattered the glass ceiling, but because their lives were taken by men who loved them. Girls are married off before they finish school. Women earn less, own less, and die more, often at the hands of men. What does misandry do in Kenya? At worst, it makes women say men are trash. At best, it helps us protect each other, call out the danger, and laugh through the pain. Misogyny builds structures that cage women. Misandry builds tools that keep women sane inside those cages. Egos heal, women don't. So yes, misandry and misogyny both grew out of the soil of bioessentialism, but the fruit is not the same. Misogyny wounds, cages, kills. Misandry names the wound. Misogyny has the weight of law, church, tradition, and culture behind it. Misandry has only words, and words that rarely leave women's spaces. And until the day boys are raised to cry, to be soft, to process emotions, to lead without violence, we cannot afford to treat misandry as equal to misogyny. Because sometimes misandry is not hatred, it is warning flare. It is a survival tactic. It is the only way to stay awake in a world that keeps telling us boys will be boys. And in Kenya, where too many sisters never make it home, misandry is not hate, it is survival. Because, let's say it again, misandry bruises egos. Misogyny bruises men. Thanks. You have a lovely day ahead of you. My name is Alexis. Follow the Matriverse for more feminist truths and a vibe.
Correct.
Thank you. Bye.